Hello guys and welcome to the MSC Performance podcast. My name is Luke. I'm joined by the captain, Captain Coulson. How are you, Mark?
Lovely intro, Luke. Thank you very much. I'm well. Things are good here. Don't know if our YouTube viewer or viewers can see. I've just done a little session and
got the
bit
guns
pumped,
out.
mate. Bit pumped. So feeling good for the podcast.
Hopefully the feedback is they can tell. Yeah, awesome. Training's going well.
Yeah, training's good. I think it's. I'm in a good place with it at the moment. Training pretty well, building nicely, block by block.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How, as a man now, Mark owns a gym and a home gym. It's quite a unique situation. But you also train a little bit at home, like once or twice a week, as well as How do you find training at home compared to at MSC? Is my question.
So training at home's been a nice kind of change. It's been a little bit unique, to be honest. There's obviously nothing like training down the gym and training down at MSC, but I think it's been nice for a little while to have that option. It was kind of, for Susanna, it was kind of essential. Really, we got something set up because she didn't have access to a gym. For me, obviously, I'm coming in here still, 4 times a week on average, 5 times sometimes, and I can obviously do the majority of my sessions here. So when we first set it up, like back in sort of Feb, Jan Feb, I was still doing all my sessions here really, and then I started doing like 1 a week at home, and then I just went through like a little 6 to 8 week phase where I trained pretty much primarily at home actually. And I think it just kind of suited the mindset I was in at the time. I'm on this kind of bit of a comeback, and I just wanted like that 6 to 8 weeks of just really like just honing in, isolating a little bit.
Monk mode.
Rocky
monk
mode. Yeah,
in
definitely.
The woods by yourself.
Definitely. I know it's really weird, but I don't put music on sometimes as well. Like I just train in absolute silence on my own.
Silence of the
lambs. It's a bit serial killer, that, isn't it?
But, a little bit.
But yeah, it's been a nice change, and now I'm swinging back slightly the other way, where I'm going to look to start doing like, a couple of sessions from home, 1 a week from here, and then I imagine it will swing further, and I'm going to up to 4 sessions soon as well. And I imagine it will be like at least 2 and 2, if not 3 here, 1 at home.
It's nice to have the option, but I think like, I guess it's tough because when the big gym's busy, you're working. So we train in the day and it's pretty quiet, but like nothing beats training with people, man. And the reason I ask is because like historically I know a couple of people that have like moved away and they're like, oh man, like I loved MSC, there's no gyms by me like it, I'm going to get a home gym. Yeah. And it just fails completely.
It's
like,
not the same.
The motivation to actually train, having that separation is tough. So a lot of people really struggle with it. So just wondering how you found it.
Yeah. No, it's been good. Like the separation's kind of okay actually, because I don't know if it's just psychological, but
we've got that 2 acres in between.
The garage is the other side of the pond, the garden.
The koi.
Yeah, the koi. So it's like, I don't know if that's a weird thing, but because the garage isn't attached to the house, you're like not stepping into the next room.
There's nothing worse.
You're actually going across like.
Mate, imagine you're watching telly. You're like, oh, I'm just going to go and train now. There's no set. To me, that's
you're training in the lounge or something. Like it's actually a separate building, so that helps just switch the mindset of like
the outhouse.
The outhouse. Like this is the gym, and we're going from here. So it's been really cool. It's been really cool, and I love going back to like the basics of I've got a squat rack, I've got a bar, I've got adjustable kettlebells and dumbbell, and a bench, and that's it. And like I kind of have enjoyed that.
Spitting sawdust
a little bit, and now I'm ready to kind of just swing the balance back a little bit here, because there's nothing like training at MSC.
There's nothing with training with MSC, there's nothing with training with other people. I think about like when I do conditioning by myself, and like compared to when I used to do the run with you or with, it's so much better when there's other people there. Because on that note, we're doing the exciting Saturday Metcon tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Me, you, Chloe, and Steve. As promised.
Steve's promised. He's having a couple of scoops tonight.
He's meeting a lady friend.
He did promise.
He said he's coming.
He did promise. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm buzzing because I think that like between having that little group and with the competition element that we're trying to incorporate into it, I think we should be able to push ourselves quite hard.
Yeah, definitely. And I think.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Because yesterday you played basketball and. You were struggling, Mark, but you did have a full English 20 minutes before, which is
I got things a bit wrong yesterday. My lesson to learn for people is don't eat a full English breakfast when you're meeting up with a friend and then rushing off to play.
That was question 1 actually of the
rushing
Q&A.
Off to play basketball.
It was how, if I'm going to have a full English, how close to training can I do that? That was the question.
20 minutes. I felt rotten, Luke. It wasn't enjoyable.
But we're trying to do the competition one on the Saturday. It's going to be, we hope it's going to be massive. And it's not just we're doing it as a one-off to try and boost up. I intend, I'm on holiday for the next 2 weeks, which stops it. But the intent is to really try and make this the flagship session. And we think that little bit of extra competition is going to make it a cool session. So we'd love to see you all there if you can make it. And it's going to be a good session, man. It's going to be big. The program is set up and it's tough, but we're going to enjoy it.
Ready to go. It's going to be like the idea is going to be hard sessions. It's going to be team orientated.
And you would say the rising tide brings up all the ships. That's what you say.
Yeah, I do.
So
I do.
The weight we're trying to have competition weights, which are kind of just slightly under what you do if you're doing competitive CrossFit or competition fitness. And for some people that might be a little bit heavy to begin with, but we believe that having that little target is going to help people kind of rise up and get a little bit more out of it. So we will obviously allow modifications, but we're trying to rise everyone up to this level and give it a good push. And it's going to be cool, man. So hopefully see you all there. Tomorrow looks like there's quite a few people booked in, so I'm looking forward to getting started.
It's going to be fun.
Should we dive in?
Let's dive in.
Awesome. Q&A. First question. Does Max Craven own a t-shirt? Because
that's a great
every
question.
single time. When will he go top? When will he put his t-shirt back on?
I don't think he does. I don't think he does own a t-shirt. I mean, we've tried to give him a couple of MSC ones.
He's turned them down.
He's turned them down. He used to wear a t-shirt quite a lot in his first spell here, but was
that when he wasn't in good shape? But now he's ripped.
Now he's
lost all his tops.
Yes. Very good question. He's maybe got one or two t-shirts, but you don't often see him on him. But we'll see when the winter comes. See what the answer is.
He's in good nick. So, if you're going to take your top off, it's when you're going to look like Max Craven.
If you've got it, flaunt it. Is that what they say?
But then when he goes out on nights out, he wears baggy tops.
Yeah.
Because then everyone knows. He knows that they all know.
Right. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So he doesn't need to tell anyone.
Okay.
Question 2, Mark. They do get a little bit more informative. The next question I think was about Sumo.
Yeah, swapping to Sumo, getting hip and adductor pain. Should I go back to conventional?
There you go. That's a good question. Do you want me to lead?
Yeah.
Cool. I think this is like a period of acclimation that a lot of people go through. I will say off the bat, with the Sumo v conventional, there's benefits to both. And I think the things that make you good at Sumo also make you good at conventional. So if you've got long arms, you're going to be good at deadlifting, full stop. A lot of it comes down to hip structure, what allows you to get into a better position. But I think more than anything, over time, it's which one can allow you to tolerate the most amount of work. For example, if you're pulling conventional once a week and you try and do it on a secondary day and you realise, you notice every time that your lower back just gets too sore and then that affects your next squat session, your ability to accumulate work is going to be reduced compared to if you switch to Sumo. Your back can tolerate it a little bit more, you get no issues anywhere else. You might be able to push the workloads up without that interference. That's one of the main things we're looking for.
Yeah.
But initially there is going to be a period of acclimation, which we spoke about. We spoke about the Miami trip where we're both in a little bit of discomfort. I started doing more conditioning and my QL was absolutely battered. You fast forward 3 months later and I feel the best I've ever felt. No niggles, nothing. I think there's expected to be a period of acclimation, and if the strength is there and you can feel things going really well, I think it's definitely worthwhile sticking with it. If you're doing it and you're finding that your squat's gone down and you find that the numbers are actually pretty bad anyway, you maybe would say, okay, I've tried it doesn't feel good, I'm going to go back. But if you feel there's the potential for it to be your strongest deadlift and your goal is to be the strongest deadlifter you can, I think it's worth trying to push through that and kind of see if you can get through that little period of discomfort to come out the other side.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think with any sort of change of training, there is that that acclimation phase where you got to get used to it. So it's like you get a lot of people who will complain with shin splints issues or soreness when they start running, and the issue is they've got in with way too much volume at the start of the training and they've not built it up. So if you haven't run for years or you've never really done a running program, going in and sort of
test my 10k or test my 5k week one,
it's not the best idea. Whereas what we want to do is be really careful with the volume, and that's the same with strength training. When we're working with beginners, we often work with 1 or 2 sets, working sets of each exercise, and just build it up nice and gradually, because we're creating a new stress and stimulus, and it's going to create some soreness. Now, we don't want our clients to come in and squat on a Monday and not be able to walk for the rest of the week. That kind of defies the purpose and what we're trying to achieve. So that's the same with lifting weights. That's the same with running, and that's the same with exercise selection as well. So when we're tweaking an exercise, like going from conventional to sumo, obviously, as you mentioned, we're anatomically in a slightly different setup. Hips in a slightly different position. There is going to be more strain on adductors. To name one but a few muscle groups that will be working a little bit harder or perhaps a little bit easier in some aspects.
The tissues
as well.
are stressed in different positions. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. And that takes a little bit of time. So I think the question perhaps depends on the answer to the question almost depends on the time frame a little bit. Have you given yourself enough time to acclimatise to the change of movement? If you're like a few months down the line and you're still really struggling, then there's potentially an issue there, and it's maybe worth just going back to conventional. If you're a couple of weeks in, it might just be a case of like gritting your teeth and getting through that a little bit and just getting used to the workload. As you say, like when you started conditioning, got to build it up slowly, and even building up slowly, chances are there's going to be a little bit of soreness, right? It's going to for me, I've backed off the running recently. If I get like back into a run, like to me, even if I go and do like a 2K or something at like a moderate pace, there's going to be a little bit of soreness the next day, and then that might affect my strength session and might make that a little bit tougher. But I think you got to sort of grit your teeth and just push through that a little bit to an extent. So it's just being aware, building up nice and slowly. Like don't go from you're doing like 3/5s at 200 kilos on a conventional, like straight into 3/5s at 200 on a sumo. You're going to have to accept a bit of a hit initially, build it up nice and gradually, especially with the volume, and go from there.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few cool case studies actually. I've had a couple of people swap over recently, and I've done the same kind of protocol with both of them, and it's worked really, really well. Where we keep the conventional as the primary lift, and then the secondary lift swaps to sumo deadlifting, which means you're naturally pulling less. And then what you can do there, instead of trying to, because if you've said that and you're 100% right, you want to drop the workloads down. But if you're dropping it compared to your secondary day, compared to your main deadlift day, it's completely different. So just mentally, when you're like, okay, we're going to try and replicate what you do on that normal deadlift day. So it's a little bit lighter, and then you can gradually build that up. And then that means you're doing just one a week of the sumo rather than going in at 2 times a week, which is the mistake people make. The frequency is just too much. So if you go in and you change your secondary day to it, that seems to be the best way to do it. And it gets to a point where you're just letting it kind of organically grow up, and then it gets to like the end of the training block and the numbers are relatively similar, or there was in these two cases, and then they're kind of itching to change it over. And then you change it over and you make your sumo your primary focus, your conventional as the secondary focus for one more block. You kind of put conventional a little bit on the back burner, treat it as like, your secondary day, you treat it to be focused on the technique, and if you lose a little bit of position on your heavier stuff, you're trying to keep it a little bit lighter, focus on the technique, but then you're pushing that sumo a little bit harder, let it gradually build up, and then you can look at 2 times a week a little bit later down the line. But I think starting it as that secondary day, changing it to the primary works really nicely. And the other consideration is, because you might get the programming spot on, you might have everything, the warm-up considerations are different. I think with conventional, you're practicing, like for most people, you're warming up that hinge pattern, you're going through like some position to kind of get the back ready. For sumo, like I said, you're going to have to warm up the adductors, you're going to have to try and go through it. So I love like a Copenhagen plank or like a side plank variation beforehand, just to kind of prime the adductors ready to do the sumo. So your warm-up considerations are a little bit different. I'd say that's the last thing to look at. Yeah. Because your first thing, like you said, is workload. And then from there, I'd say, Yeah,
you make a really good point there in terms of, like if you're making those kind of changes, practicing the new movement at lower loads, lower volume, and keep the old movement in and just gradually swap them over. Like if you're, for example, like for me, I'm trying to build up my back squat again. It's been a long time since I've done it. I'm taking it really, 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 really slowly, but I'm not doing any other type of squatting. I'm like making sure I get my belt squat in. I'm doing like heavy.
Still getting heavy stuff to knock me out on the stimulus.
I'm doing like a lot of heavy, even like rear elevated stuff. I've really been pushing that whilst I'm like building up the back squat, because I don't want to be going super heavy and super loads of volume with the back squat. I'm really working on the skill at the moment. So because of that, it's hard to work at the skill if you go in like super heavy and you haven't done it for a while, or you're doing loads and loads of volume. So it's like, if it's 2 or 3 sets of 5 on the back squat and it's pretty moderate, like that's for someone a bit more experienced, there's not enough stimulus really. So following that up with a belt squat, or if I've been training at home, like a rear foot elevated, which isn't a direct correlation, but it's still quite a carryover. Just getting like my heavy leg work in, and then as I say, like when you're happy with the skill, when you're happy with the load, we can start to push that up a little bit with the back squat. So similar thing.
It's kind of universal.
Don't disregard the other movement and just go all in with a new one. Just a gradual crossover. Yeah.
There you go. I think that answers that. Yeah. Second question. Third question, because Max's was a legit question.
Yeah. Best way to train around injury.
Yeah, this is
around. Yeah. Best way to train around injury, basically.
All right, cool.
It's quite vague, but maybe we can make it a bit more specific.
Yeah, we can have some general recommendations, I guess. Yeah, so obviously depends on the severity of the injury. Presumably, it's just like a soft tissue injury. It's not like you've herniated a disc or you've tore your Achilles. So in that case, if it's just a soft tissue injury, then I think the first one is reducing your volumes and intensities to kind of match where you're at, and trying to find like a tolerable amount of work for the affected tissue. And in the meantime, to kind of train around that as best as we can. So if you have a lower body injury, let's say you've strained your hamstring and you can't do deadlifts, you can't sprint, you might push the upper body's work a little bit harder, and then you try and find an entry point for the affected area, and then gradually kind of building that back up over time. I'd say that's a great starting point. If you can't do that, then you might have to regress your exercises to an exercise that's pain-free. An example would be, if you can't deadlift, you might regress to a dumbbell RDL. If you can't do that, you might regress to a hyper. If you can't do that, you might have to do positional isometrics. But you're trying to find an entry point for the affected area where you can get some workload in without making the area worse. So it's still recovering. You're getting a little bit of work in there, a bit of movement, which is a great idea. And in the meantime, you're trying to train other areas as best as you can. So it's a great chance to practice other skills, and it's a great chance to build other stuff up that you've maybe neglected in the past. And then when you come back post-injury, you're in a position where you're able to push a little bit harder.
Yeah, exactly. Get the mindset right with this as well. I think we did a podcast on it a few weeks ago, which might be worth going back and listening to, because we went into quite some depth with this. But getting the mindset right of, allow yourself to be annoyed for a couple of days with an injury, and then
have a curry.
Get back on the horse, and attack those other areas, as you say, like if it's a knee injury, right, what can I do with the upper body? Is this an opportunity to improve my bench? Is this an opportunity to do some pulling work and get a little bit stronger with that? So definitely worth considering. Exercise stuff you've covered, like you touched upon isometrics there, and that can be a really good workaround as well. Is like isos, yielding isometrics, overcoming isometrics, things like that, where like say if it is a knee injury, like with pretty much all knee injuries, you can still work like some good isometric. You find angles that are pain free.
Yes.
Squatting up into pins, doing rack pulls into pins, holds, things like that, like in squat positions. And then I say, like, looking at range and things like that, like maybe it's a box squat as opposed to a full squat if the knee's hurting lower end. So yeah, obviously specific on the injuries, but I think like on what type of injury it is. But I think we've covered most points there really.
Yeah. There's like a few things you could change there, like the range of motion. You can change the tempo. That's the first thing I'd look at, because you might find that like if you're bombing into a squat, or I don't know, with some kind of bench you've hurt your pec, that fast rebound really hurts. But if you slow the eccentric down and even slow the concentric down, are you able to do the movement in a tolerable, pain-free way? And then there's like other regressions from there.
Yeah,
but like
range of movement. And,
but if you can try and keep things as similar as possible, but then just regressing as you need to. So if you only have to slow the tempo down, that's way better than having to do a box squat. But you might have to do the box squat, but try and have a look at the tempo first. Then you have a look at the box squat, and then if not, you've got your isometrics. So it's kind of like a
regress one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. It's not like I've strained my quad, I've got to do a bodyweight isometric full standing. You might be able to get away with slightly less reduction.
I think the key here is like someone hurts the knee and they're like, I'm not going to do any lowers. I'm not going to do any lower body work at all until the knee gets better. Extensive research, we know that we want to train the movement pattern and keep it going as much as we can pain free. So like if you think of that, like, right, I've got the bad knee, I'm not going to do any lower body. That's regressing right down to the absolute zero. Whereas what we want to do is we want to, as you say, go one step at a time. So it's like, I want to do my back squat. I can't quite do that. It's not quite right. So, we're going to try an alternative that's one step below that, rather than just going all the way down to just a body weight squat.
Yeah,
we might change the position of the bar and try and front load it a bit. It's probably not going to help with a knee injury, so poor example. But it could be box squat, it could be tempo.
You might do a goblet squat instead of a...
Exactly, yeah. So as you say, first of all, you might look at the tempo. So, tempo squat to begin with, pauses, limiting the range after that might be one. Hand support might be another. Down into goblet squat, down into bodyweight squat, down into I can't do anything. Which is possible, but it's rare. It's quite rare. Yeah. Down to isometrics, actually, I'd say. Down to ISO holds. Sitting in a squat position, trying to hold a quarter squat.
I think I've regressed even further than that once. I think I did with Max's guidance. I'd strained my quad. I think I saw my vastus wireless, and I was doing eccentric only. So I was doing and then pushing it up with two legs, and I'd just get some. So there's lots.
That's a common one for hamstrings as well.
There's loads that you can do. You'd be surprised how much you can do, because you initially shoot yourself, and then you just think, my plan was to do a back squat at 120 kilos. Instead, I did, and it might be, like I said, a hand supported safety bar squat, and I was able to get to 80, and that's pretty decent as an entry point.
Exactly. You want to get blood flow to the area, so get it moving as much as you can.
The big thing there as well is the confidence, having a plan that you're confident with. The difference of that mentality coming into it, because we know that pain's multifaceted. So if you're confident with what you're doing, and you're not going to injure yourself more. The difference between coming in like that compared to being, oh man, I'm battered, I can't do anything. The difference in the mindset there is going to have a massive difference on the outcome. I think that's really important.
Yeah, agreed.
Fantastic. Last question.
Right. I can't do Tuesday.
I
have to read this. I don't know.
Okay. Can't do the weight for the Athx Metcon. How can I get through it? The comps next week.
Right, okay.
Cool. So I'm doing Athx.
There's a slight typo there, and I couldn't quite work around what it meant, but Luke's deciphered it, so we're good.
As a man that's written and it's come out as 2 a couple of times, I've managed to figure it out. So I think it is the conditioning part of it. There's some weights in the Athx, and maybe it's a little bit too heavy for the thrusters.
And this person's struggling with the weight. Yeah.
I think so. And because it's next week, you can't build any strength. I guess that's what they're saying. It's too late to try and improve my strength. So what can you do? I say from between now and then, just try and practice the skill of the exercise, which I presume is the thrusters, which is the issue, because that's the only weighted exercise, or it might be the sandbag. Maybe it's either one of those. Just kind of practice the skill and get that as dialed in as best as you can, because you could be doing that almost every day and getting really confident with the technique. That would be the first thing, because you're not going to gain too much strength in a week, but you can really improve the skill. So if you're struggling with the sandbag,
efficient as possible, adrenaline on the day
will take you a long way. I think if you are struggling, because I think the sandbag is 10 reps, I think the thrusters is 40 between two of you, so 20 each.
Okay.
First off, obviously, if you're doing it partnered, if your partner can carry the load a little bit and do a little bit more there, and you pick up somewhere else, that's the first thing. The second one is, I would say, try and figure out a strategy where you're able to get through that work as efficiently as you can. So you look at it and say it's 20 reps, and it sounds really daunting. I had to do it, and I did 2 10s, and even 2 10s is maybe going to be a little bit too much if you're struggling with the weight. But you could maybe do 4 4 3 3. Mark, help me out with the maths.
You're there. Yeah.
14.
4 4 3 3.
3 3.
8 11 14.
And then 2 more threes, and you've done it.
2 more threes.
Just break it down into more manageable blocks. And because you can split the work, you could do, 4 reps, then you do 4, then 3, or for the sandbag, you could do 2, 2, 2, 2, or 2, 4, 2. Split it up into more manageable chunks would be the way that I would do it. So most people will be able to do the weights, but it's the amount of reps that you have to do is really tough. So I'd say break it down into more manageable stuff. But if you can just improve your technique, like with the thrusters, how they sit on your shoulders is massive. With the sandbag, just getting really comfortable with using the legs to actually get it onto the shoulder. Like if you can improve the skill from now to then, you could practice it every single day and get a little bit more confident with it. Those would be my two breakdowns.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you're right. In a week, you're not going to build enough strength in that time. Technical efficiency, get as good as you can. good bit of food the day before on the morning. Get there, loads of adrenaline, a bit of support from your teammate, and you might surprise yourself and be able to do
the amount of people that like unleash that extra gear when they've got.
We see it in the Metcon games. We see it in the Metcon games all the time. We see it in the in-house comps we do. We see it at comps.
Yeah.
And
a Hail Mary third, and they get it.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed how many people can, just with that little bit of arousal, just get to the right performance level. So
but I think
this person might be absolutely fine.
Yeah, like Liam Herschel, he did a strongman comp last week, and he had 200 kilo AMRAP as one of the events, and he's only ever done 190 for 2. He's never gone above 190. He's a bit nervous about it. He got 3 reps.
Yeah,
and nothing changed. He just, on the day, like you said, the adrenaline, having people shouting, comp stimulus, maybe a little bit of hype, maybe a bit of extra rest. Because that's the other thing. If you're coming in and doing,
you're having a day off before, or you're having you're making sure you have a good sleep,
good food, good sleep. You come in, you feel really good. And a lot of times, I think when you get this 5% boost on the day, a lot of that is just like a slight rest or a little bit of extra food and a bit, maybe had the day off work, and all of a sudden you feel so much better coming into it. So you'll be absolutely fine. But that's our advice.
Yeah, fantastic,
awesome.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Luke. I know we spoke about it earlier.
Are you having breakfast before it, Mark?
I'm having a full English 20 minutes before.
Are you going to have breakfast before? Because 9 o'clock, that's the consideration. I've got a banana. Bought a banana for
I'll have some scran. I'll have some scran.
Well, I'm really excited. Me and Max are at the programme. It's a tough one. It's an hour session as well. I think it could take some people 40-45 minutes to get through that. I think there's a 50-minute cap. It's part of your teams, and man, it's going to be good fun.
Something a bit different.
Something a little bit different, something to push yourself and like I said, make the most of that kind of competition element and training with others. And let's try and push ourselves, man. Let's see what we can do.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
We're putting 12 grenade bars as the prize, and we intend on winning them.
I want to win those,
because I want 4 grenade bars, Mark.
Yes.
We will see you all tomorrow, hopefully. Any questions or any further feedback, please let us know, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.